Okay, can you tell us a little bit about being the chairman of the Human Rights Commission?
I sure can. The commission is one of 4 commissions that really have enforcement power for human and civil rights in people who have been discriminated against in Prince William County. The other 4 commissions are obviously, well, not obviously, but all the Northern Virginia commissions. So, it's Fairfax, Arlington, Alexandria, and Prince William County. So we're the ones that can actually handle cases for people coming through Prince William County or who are in Prince William County who feel that they've been discriminated against, and we have a staff that will investigate. In other parts of the state, it may be difficult to believe, but if you're in Virginia Beach or you're in Bristol, you have to go to Richmond. They have the state council who has, I think they have a staff of 3 investigators, which is really about the size of Prince William County staff, so to cover the entire state. But I've served on the commission for the past 20 years, and the commission is a real key entity for any community. We were very fortunate in Prince William County that the executive director of the Fairfax County Human Rights Commission was a Prince William County resident who encouraged the Board of Supervisors to form a study group to look at the need for establishing a commission in Prince William County. At that time, I was president of the Prince William County branch NAACP, and I had a person from the NAACP on that study group. The Board of Supervisors, when they voted as to whether or not they were going to establish a commission, I think they pretty much had made their mind up they were going to establish a commission. The only question was, would it be a commission with enforcement power, or would it be just a human relations commission with no enforcement power? And as president of NAACP, I marshaled the forces to attend the public hearing, and everyone who presented that night, with the exception of one person, was in favor of establishing a commission with enforcement power. And the Board of Supervisors unanimously voted against the recommendation of the county executive that we would establish a commission that had enforcement power. So we're here now, and we celebrated over 20 years of service to the community.
Can you tell us one of the major accomplishments of the commission?
Sure. I think there are a number of accomplishments. One being anytime that we're able to settle a case for someone who's been discriminated, wrongfully, discriminated against, I think that's a victory. I think the other things too, for the business community, when the commission was established, there was a concern from the business community, in essence, be a lot of frivolous lawsuits or at least complaints filed to the commission, and they would be found guilty of something. What they've learned over 20 years ago, that we are an adjudicatory body and we're nonpartisan, non-biased. So we take complaints, and if a business has not done anything wrong, there's no finding. So one of the things that business communities also learn, and from the chambers, is that we actually go out and do trainings on EEO law for them, and they've availed themselves of that. So the fears that happened 20 years ago when the commission was established did not come to fruition. I think probably the hottest topic that this commission has been involved in was the immigration legislation that the County Board of Supervisors passed about 6 or 7 years ago, and that was the push from the board to deal with all undocumented residents of Prince William County. This commission, again, we don't take positions, but in our ordinance, we are required to advise the board on issues of human and civil rights in the community. So as chair, we took that lead, and my vice chair was the head of a study group, and we invited people in to hear their concerns about the ordinance, whether you were for the ordinance or whether you were against the ordinance. And we prepared a report that we submitted to the Board of Supervisors. I don't recall whether the report was adopted or not, but I will say that some of the recommendations, even though we didn't get credit for it, the board accepted. And one of which was that we would ask a university to look at the impact of the law, and the University of Virginia was contracted to do that. I do know that it was very helpful to the county police as they reached out as well to enforce the law. So I think that's really the largest issue that we've worked on as a commission.
But now there's also issues. There were some voting issues.
Yes, yes. There are several things that the commission has worked on under my leadership. One, a lot of people don't know at this day and time that Prince William County is now the first majority-minority community in Northern Virginia. Prince William County is approximately 51% minority, and that's a very diverse minority group. The African American community, the Hispanic community, the Asian community, and other racial or ethnic groups, which combined make up about 51% of the population. So the commission, under my leadership, has always been committed to making sure that as we draw magisterial district lines, as we draw precinct lines, that they are that there's nothing within those lines that would be discriminatory for anyone. And in our advisory capacity for the Board of Supervisors, we have been engaged in that when the census comes out. And there were two cases in the most recent census. One on the eastern end of the county where we saw a precinct that was split. We brought that to the attention of the board. We had great concern that particular precinct was split because of the heavy African American on that. In that area, the board resolved it. We had another area just outside of Manassas where we felt that a community that had a large Hispanic community there was being split. The board, the supervisors resolved it. So those are things that we brought as recommendations to the board. Lastly, in the election of 2008, there was a precinct in Prince William County that didn't close after 11 o'clock at night because of long lines. The Prince William County Board of Supervisors wanted to study that, the electoral process in Prince William County, and asked the Human Rights Commission as one of the entities to be involved in that study, along with, I'm not going to be able to name everybody, but along with the NAACP, the League of Women's Voters, and several other people who had great interest in that, as well as I think the chair and vice chair of the Republican and Democratic parties. They were on that study group. It happened that the nominee from the commission ended up being voted as chair of that study group, and their findings basically say that that the county really didn't have enough electoral staff in place or voting machines, which caused that, and even some antiquated machines. So that's part of that report. I just learned that GAO is going to be looking at that now from the federal government, Prince William County being one of the areas. But the report seemed to say there was nothing deliberate, but it's something as a commission that was our responsibility to look at and advise the board of anything, or at least the temperature of the community, that they need to be aware of as far as issues of concern.
So it's important that your commission is there to make those in charge aware of issues, so we don't have problems in the future.
That's right, and that's part of our charter to advise the board on matters that affect the county. And I've always used the terminology, the temperature of the county. If there's something going on that's of concern as far as human and civil rights concerned in the county, it's really incumbent upon us as the commission to advise the board as to here are issues, here are our recommendations. And I think the board has been appreciative of our work for the most part, and certainly the citizens have.
Well, that's a good segue into why do you think this Civil Rights Archive that was initiated by Congressman Connolly is so important as we look into the struggles of civil rights and voting and things of that nature?
I think it's critical because, I mean, we oftentimes say that if we don't learn from history, we're doomed to repeat it. And in this day and time, the discrimination, that occurs in our country is not necessarily overt like it was in the 60s. I mean, you saw the white sheets and you saw the dogs and the beatings. You don't see that so much now, but it still goes on. So people need to know what, how people address the issue. They need to know the commitment and the work that people put forward into achieving the goals and making sure that everybody had equal human and civil rights, and in the future that the mistakes will not be made. It's a rich history and legacy. You often hear people say, pull yourself up by your own bootstraps. There's no such thing as pulling yourself up by your own bootstraps. Somebody always had to have someone to help them along. So from slavery to freedom, as far as human and civil rights, someone has paved the way, somebody has died for us to have the opportunities we have today. So it is very important in legacy for people to know where people have come from and to continue to move forward in that legacy. And it's a rich history in Prince William County and in Northern Virginia.
So let's talk about the legacy of the Porter family. What would you say that legacy is?
I think the legacy of the Porter family is a very strong legacy. It's a legacy of a large family who